Well, hello there. Today I have two more tall tales or folklore from the old world, and so let's get right to it. First one's called Cow's Head. This story is from the Ukraine, so the character is Ukrainian, from the Ukraine. Oksana lived in a small house on the edge of town with her father, her stepmother, and her stepsister. Oksana's stepmother disliked Oksana, favoring her true daughter, Olena. Soon after her father's remarriage, Oksana found that all the housework fell to her, while Olena idled her days away. Oksana's father was a timid man and could not bring himself to defy his wife. So Oksana wore Olena's cast-off clothes, and her hands grew red and chapped from scrubbing in the cold, while Olena attended parties, growing lazy and spoiled. One year, when the winter snows were particularly fierce, Oksana's family ran out of money. Oksana's stepmother began nagging her father to send Oksana away, because they could not afford to keep two girls. Reluctantly, Oksana's father agreed. He took Oksana to a cottage deep in the woods and left her there. Oksana was very frightened. The woods were said to be filled with demons and monsters, but Oksana was also practical. She entered the cottage with her small bundle and found a fireplace, a lopsided table, and a rusty old pot. Oksana put away the loaf of bread, the knife, and the slab of cheese her father had given her. She folded the blanket and laid it near the fireplace. Then she collected wood and built a fire. Oksana knew the bread and cheese would not last her all winter, so she made a snare using the thin, flexible branches of the trees and caught a snow rabbit to eat. She also dug under the deep snow and found some roots and berries for food. By dark, Oksana had melted water for drinking, and used the rest to make a stew. So Oksana ate well. Then she lay down near the fire for the night, listening to the wind howl and pretending to herself that she was not frightened of the woods. It was midnight when the knock came. Knock, knock, knock. It echoed hollowly through the dark cottage. Oksana woke with a start, her heart pounding in fear. It came again. Knock, knock, knock. Oksana thought of the monsters. She hid under a blanket, praying the thing would go away. Knock, knock, knock. Oksana rose, grabbing a branch. She crept towards the door. The wind howled eerily down the chimney. Oksana swallowed and swung the door open. There was nothing there. Her heart pounded fiercely as she stared out at the snow whipping about in the light of her small fire. Then she looked down. Oksana let out a shriek of terror and leapt back, dropping her stick. It was a demon, an evil spirit. It had no body. Who are you? Oksana stuttered, clutching the door with shaking hands. I am Cow's Head, it replied. Indeed, Oksana saw at once that it was. The head was brown, with curved horns and strange haunted eyes. I am cold and hungry. May I sleep by your fire? The Cow's Head asked. Its voice was cold and lifeless. Oksana gulped down her horror. Of course, she said. Lift me over the threshold, demanded the Cow's Head hollowly. Oksana did as she was bidden. Place me near the fire. Anger warred with compassion inside her. The compassion one Oksana put next to the fire. "I am hungry," said the cow's head. "Feed me." Oksana thought of her meager food supply. The stew left in the pot was for her breakfast. She fed it to Cow's head. "I will sleep now," it said. There was no softening in its attitude toward her. Nonetheless, Oksana made it comfortable for the night, giving it her blanket and sleeping in a cold corner with only her cloak to keep her warm. When she woke in the morning, Cow's head was gone. Where it had slept was a large trunk filled with the most beautiful gowns she had ever seen. Under the gowns lay heaps of gold and jewels. Oksana stared blankly at the riches in front of her. Her father's voice roused her. "Daughter, I am come." Oksana forgot the trunk in her joy. She ran into his arms. He had defied her stepmother to come and bring her home. "Papa, come see!" Oksana exclaimed as she pulled him into the cottage. Her words tumbled over each other as she explained. Her father took her home. She was honored in her town for her compassion and her bravery, and won scores of suitors. She married soon after her return from the cottage. Hearing Oksana's story and seeing the riches she had received, Elena went to the cottage in the forest and spent the night there. But when Cow's head appeared, she was too lazy to serve it. In the morning, all her gowns had turned to rags and her possessions to dust. But Oksana lived to a ripe old age, in happiness and prosperity. Well, I don't know, what's the moral of that story, I guess? Ukraine, maybe they want to, they put value on, like, hospitality, so it's kind of weird that her annoying sister went to a cottage, and because her sister was too lazy to serve the demon, like, Oksana's stuff turned to rags, and she didn't have any of the riches, but whatever. Let me know in the comments what do you think the moral is, like, Ukraine. I don't know what that means. Okay, the next story is from New Orleans in America. This one's American. It's called Le Corriveau. Mary Joseph Corriveau was a beautiful but ruthless woman. She married a good-looking man, but soon grew bored with him. So late one evening, she stunned her husband with a blow to the head, then took a whip to his horse, which trampled him to death. The death was ruled an accident, and Le Corriveau was free to marry again. She was happy with her new love at first, but her heart was fickle, and in time she cast her eyes on a handsome newcomer. So she took an axe to her second husband, but this time she was caught in her deed and sentenced to death. Le Corriveau was hung for her wicked deed, and her dead body was put in a cage and displayed permanently along the highly trafficked river road. Oh god, this is category. But what the authorities did not guess, mon ami, was that the spirit of this evil woman would not die as it should. No, it was tied to her shackled, withering flesh. At night, Le Corriveau's eyes would open of their own accord, and her decaying hands would reach toward passing travelers as she whispered the travelers' names through a tangle of stringy locks. Soon, no one would use the river road after dark, so the authorities took the corpse and buried it deep beneath the ground, hoping to silence the evil creature. But their hopes were in vain. For many a night, Le Corriveau would arise from her grave and walk walk back and forth along the river road, accosting travelers. One night, a prominent citizen named Dubois was walking home to his new bride. As he passed the palace, the place where the cage of Le Corval once stood, his eyes were caught by a scene of wild, demonic figures dancing around the blue light across the river. Madre de Dios! He gasped in fear, and then he screamed as a pair of bony, withered hands clutched his throat from behind. "Take me across the river, Dubé," Le Corval whispered into his ear, her greasy hair caressing his cheek. He flinched at the feel of her slimy skin. "I cannot pass the blessed waters of the St. Lawrence unless a Christian man carries me." Fear lent Dubé a strength he did not normally possess. He dropped to his knees, ripping at the creature's hands and flinching as he felt dry flesh tearing away from Le Corval's bones. "In the name of the blessed Saint Anne, leave me," Dubé shrieked as the wicked thing bent over him. Then he fainted and knew no more until the morning, when his frantic wife found him by the roadside and woke him with her sobs. The story of Dubé's attack spread through the city, and finally the authorities were forced to call in the holy cures to exorcise the foul spirit and free the citizens from her evil spell. So, oh no, does that have a moral? I guess that the spirits of people, once they're dead, they're not bound by physical limitations of, like, of course, when you're buried underground, you can't escape, but I guess her spirit can. Her spirit can go through the soil. So, yeah, let me know in the comments again, what does that mean, really? So thank you for listening. Give us a like if you liked it. Comment, whatever. And, yeah, let me know, I guess, in the future if you want me to read more of these stories. Keep doing yoga and, open your third eye and, watch the sunrise and sunset every day. Be careful to do it at the right time. I guess go vegan, because, I mean, yeah, the people selling all the meat, the animal products, chicken, eggs, dairy, are evil, and, they know how terrible what they're doing is. Well, some of them, and how it's really immoral, and, humans were actually much more similar to herbivores, so I feel like going vegan reduces inflammation inside you, so I gets rid of your anxiety and depression, and yeah, so it's a perfect diet. It's really easy to give up with the meat, because once you learn about it, you view it as poison once you know where it comes from and what it does to the body, and yeah, we are herbivores, or frugivores like the other primates. Well, other primates, they mostly eat fruit, so, thank you for listening. Goodbye.